Hari Om again. It looks like we lost the sound somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to repeat some of the talk that we missed. So I don't know exactly where the sound went off. So at least we will start quickly some of the slokas starting from the Sloka 5. Ekame dvitiyam sat nama rupa vivarjitam srushti puradhunapyasya traduktvam taditiryate. That's a Sloka 5. Sloka 6. Srotru dehendriyatitam vastvatratvam paderitam ekata grahyate siti tadaikyam anubhuyatam. So this is analysis of Tattvamasi statement from the Chandogya Upanishad, essentially Samaveda, where instruction is you are that. So what is you, what is that, and what is are? So start with Tat. Tat is that, and that is nothing but pure existence that was there before creation, and that's how the creation is explained in the Chandogya. What was there? Existence alone was there before. So Sadeva Saumya Idam Agram Asid, that Idam Agram, before creation. So here Pura means before, Sushte Pura, before creation, what was there? Sat, that is Ekam Eva Advitiyam, that is from the scriptural statement, one without the second, and one Ekam is essentially implying that there is no Swagata Vedas, internal differences, and Ekam, Eva is there are no Sajati Vedas, there are no differences of the same species, and Advitiyam, that which is no Vijati Veda, that means no differences of any kind. It is homogeneous, pure existent consciousness that was there, Sat, and which is without any names and forms, because names and forms are differentiating one object from the other. So there is non-differentiable of any kind, and that is that which was there, Pura. And after the creation, that is Adhuna, that same existence now expressing itself in varieties and names and forms. So Pura Adhuna is not really a time factor, it's only from the teaching point. What was there before creation, if one asks, it says pure existence without any name and form, and after the creation, that it is varieties of forms. So creation itself includes a creation of the time also. So therefore this is only upaya for upadesha, for the teaching it's only a statement. And what is there I see right now is different names and forms, a world of varieties and varieties of names and forms, and we are differentiating each one, and therefore we want like this, we like this, we all likes and dislikes come into picture, and therefore Ishvara Srushti and Jivas superimpose Srushti on top of with the likes and dislikes, and that's what samsara caused. So understanding that in all these varieties of Adhuna, in these varieties of names and forms that I see, what is there is essentially that Brahman in different forms. That should be my Viveka. So Sushte Adhuna Api Asya. Even now, when I am looking at the varieties of the world, I have to recognize the same existence still exists in the varieties of forms. So existence expressing in the form of a watch, existence expressing in the form of a space, existence expressing in form of this, that, that. This, that differs. Each difference is only in terms of attributes of the object, but pure existence, there is no changes of anything, no distinctions of any kind. It is Ekameva Advitiyam, and that's what is essentially a Tat Padartham. Srotur Dehendri, the Sloka 6. Slotur Dehendriyatitam Vastatratvam Paderitam Ekata Grahyate Siti Tadaikyam Anuhuyatam. So the one who is the seeker, Srotuhu, that he has to understand that Deha Indriya Atitam, that form is that which is beyond this. Tvam is not related to the body, so you are not pointing out to the body, but to that which is pure consciousness, which is beyond all the bodies, that is Stula Sariram, Sukshma Sariram and Karana Sariram. It is that which provides the life for the whole, all the bodies functioning, but yet it is beyond that, atitam, and vastuhu vasati, that which exists, and that is atra tvam padariyatam. That's what is being pointed out by tvam padartham. And this understanding through the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, you are that, I had to understand that existence that I am is the same as existence in the whole universe, and that identity in terms of pure existence, not identity in terms of attribute to names and forms. So ekata grahyate. Grahyate is being taught here. Oneness is being taught to the student, and that has to be asiyiti. That oneness is being pointed out between that individual existence in the form of an individual and existence in the form of all varieties of names on the projects and the world is existence. There cannot be any difference. Only differences are in the attributes. So the understanding is what is the essence is the pure existence. All other things are superficial adhyasa or superimpositions on the existence, and that's only for transactional purposes. So that is Tattvamasi's statement in the seventh and the sixth, fifth and sixth sloka of Chandogya Upanishad. And now we take up the last Mahavakya, I am Atma Brahman. I am Atma Brahman comes from the Mandukya Upanishad, from the Atharvana Veda. So this also in Brihadaranyaka, but here we are trying to point out this is also from the Yajur Veda, and therefore there is each Mahavakya from the Yajur Veda, there is samanvayam, the consistency of the teaching itself. So here Vidyaranya goes direct into the Lakshyartham instead of Pratipadartham. So therefore, I am Atma Brahma. So what is I am Atma implies? I am means normally is this, that is close to it, as this we call it. But it is so close to myself as I am, so that is the essence of I am itself. And that I am Atma, that self that I am is being pointed, indicated by I am Atma. And that is being here indicated in the seventh sloka. We'll chant Swaprakasha Parokshatvam Swaprakasha Parokshatvam Ayamityuktito Matam Ayamityuktito Matam Ahankaradi Dehantat Ahankaradi Dehantat Pratyagatmeti Giyate Pratyagatmeti Giyate. Together, Swaprakasha Parokshatvam Ayamityuktito Matam Ahankaradi Dehantat Pratyagatmeti Giyate. So Aham iti is I am iti. So what is the word? The I am Atma is Swaprakasha Aparokshatvam Ayam iti yuktito matam. So what's being matam is what is meant by this I am Atma. It is Swaprakasham, self-effulgent. That means it is shining by itself. So when anything is shining by itself, then I don't need another means of knowledge to know. If there is a light and the light is burning, so I don't need another torchlight to see this light, because the light itself is Swaprakasham. So for the sun to see, I don't need the torchlight. I bring the torchlight, I want to the sun shining in the sky. So sun itself is self-shining. Everything else is shines. In fact, Tasya Vasa Sarvavidam Vibhati. Because of that consciousness, everything else is shine. So Natatra Suryo Bhati Na Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoya Magnihi Tvameva Bhantamanubhati Sarvam. You are self-shining. So Arati is being done and this Vedic mantra is chanted. Says this light need not be in order to show you, because you are the light principle. You shine everything else. So, tasya bhasa, because of your illumination only, everything is known, and you are the knowing principle or the conscious principle because of which I am conscious of everything else. And how do I know myself? So, what should I do now? I am self-prakash. I am all the time shining there. I am a conscious entity. I don't need any means for me to know. I don't need any even pramana to know. Then what is the Vedanta, the pramana? It tells you what I think I am is not what I am. I am the whole total universe. For that, scripture tells you Mahavakya as means of knowledge to me, to know, for me to know that I am the self-existent conscious entities is same as the world that I see, because I have a notion the world is different from me, and therefore this is different, that is different, he is different, she is different. All differences I am only looking at the superficial attributive content and differentiating each object as separate from that. Whereas the scripture tells you, even though differences are there, they are only at a superficial level. In and through, if I had to use a viveka, discriminative intellect, recognize the presence of oneness, and that oneness is nothing but this you. So, I am Atma. So, that aspect, this word is being defined. It is Svaprakasham, it is self-shining, that means self-conscious entity, and Aparokshatvam, it is direct and immediate. So, it's not that I had to go and find out, I am looking for myself. So, I don't have to, because I am there to look for myself. I cannot negate myself. I cannot dismiss myself. I am there, has to be there for me to reject everything, but I cannot negate myself. So, it's aparokshataya, it's immediate and direct knowledge only, because you are the missing person. Say 10th man is missing, when the story says they are searching for 10th man, and the leader says counts everybody else, and there is only 9 people here, and he forgets to count himself, and everyone takes a turn, and they say there is only 9 people, and a teacher looks at it and says the 10th man is here, and you are that Tattvamasi, you are the 10th man. It means the seeker himself is this sort. What I am searching for? I am searching for happiness all the time, and Tattvamasi, you are that happiness itself. You are full and happy state, and that I have to recognize, because there is no need for me to look all over for the happiness, because that's what I am searching for. Happiness is not outside, and happiness cannot come from an object, but I have to recognize that happiness, even that comes from the object, is only coming from me only. A self-contented mind, not a longing mind, there is no desiring mind, there is no inadequate mind, a mind which feels that it is full with itself, is Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha, he is happy with himself, therefore he is reveling in himself. That is what is I am, and that is that what is that Aparokshataya, I am iti Uttito Matam, that is being pointed out in the I am Atma Brahma. And that is different from ahankaradi dehantat pratyagatmeti giyate. So that is different from ahankara, ego. Ego involves I am this body, I am this mind, I am this. When I say I am this, therefore I am not that. Therefore ego gets limited, and that's what is ahankara. And I can say all my biodata, I am this, I am this, I am this, but in that very I am this, there is a confusion, because I am is a subject and this is an object, and that is due to not knowing that I am is beyond all this, ahankara, the dehantat, all the bodies, the sthula sariram, the gross body, sushma sariram, the subtle body, and causal body, the karana sariram, I am not that. I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a deep sleeper. I am in the waking state, but not a waker. I am in the dream state, but not a dreamer. I am in the deep sleep state, not a sleeper. I am beyond all these 3 states. That is pratyagatma iti giyate. So it is called the inner soul, the sanctum sanctorium, the Lord sitting inside in the temple. So body itself becomes a temple where the Lord is inside all the way as I go inside by using a discriminative intellect and recognize the presence of the Lord. And that is called I am Atma. That's being pointed out in this sloka 7. So last sloka, Sloka 8. Drusyamanasya sarvasya Drusyamanasya sarvasya Jagasastatvamiryate Jagatastatvamiryate Brahma shabdena tad Brahma Brahma shabdena tad Brahma Swaprakashatma rupakam Swaprakashatma rupakam. Together. Drusyamanasya sarvasya Jagatastastvamiryate Brahma shabdena tad Brahma Swaprakashatma rupakam. So what is Brahman? I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma is innermost essence has been defined as beyond all the Panchakoshas. Says Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. These are like a prakaras. As they go into the temple, as they go one door, another door, all the way inside. Pratyagatma, his innermost essence, is the essence of myself, I am, that is pure consciousness or Sakshi, the witnessing consciousness. And now I am Atma is identified through this Mahavakya is nothing but Brahman. So it is in this Sloka 8. Let's chant. Drusyamanasya sarvasya Jagatastatvamiryate Brahma siddhena tad Brahma Swaprakashatma rupakam. So Drusyamanasya sarvasya Jagataha. So Jagata, what is Brahman? Brahman is being defined as the whole universe. So how do you know this whole universe? It is that which can be perceived and can be known. So without the knowledge, there cannot be existence of the world cannot be established. It may be there, it may not be there. It becomes an indeterminate problem. So therefore, the world is, but world is pure existence expressing in the world, but it cannot be established unless there is a knower of the world, because Jagataha, world is by itself is inert, and inert thing cannot declare itself its own existence. A conscious entity has to prove the existence of the inert entity. I say there is a chair out there. How do you know? I can see. Therefore, seeing or pratyaksha pramana, direct perceptual knowledge, is a means of establishing the existence of any object in the world. So the all world is nothing but the assemblage of all objects, and therefore all objects are established through perceptual process. Perceptual means here Drusyamanam includes perception and logical thinking. Any process that involves all the pramanas are a means of knowledge to establish to a knower that which is the world, and that is essentially Brahman. Brahman means the whole universe is infinite and is expressing in terms of various names and forms as an object, and that is to be recognized by a conscious entity, a subject, and that becomes an object. Drusyam. Drusyamanasya sarvasya jagataha is tattvam, that the essence of it is pointed out by Brahma Shabdena, by the word Brahma in the Ayamatma Brahma. That indicates what is the Brahman word in that Mahavakya, says Ayamatma Brahma. Tad Brahma, so Prakashatma Rupakam. So Ayamatma Brahma is now completed. That Brahman, which pervades everything in the whole universe in terms of varieties of names and forms as an existence, is Saprakashatma, that which is now same as the one Pratyagatma in the previous sloka, that I am. So how can I am this inert world? How are we joining these two together? Because the inert world, existence of the inert world cannot be established unless I have a knowledge of its existence. Therefore, the Nama and Rupa, Nama means name, naming means knowing, and naming involves knowing, and therefore knowing involves a knower involves a conscious entity, a subject, and known is the whole universe, Drusyavanam. So, we have to understand how the perception occurs and the conditions of perception. That means an object existence expressed in the form of object is as though through a process of pramana is transferred as the existence as a thought in the mind. So when I say I see a chair out there, chair is an object out there, but thought is in my mind, and thought forms through attributive knowledge. And the essence of it is through the senses I gather the attributes of the object, and that is transformed through a internal code developed by the Lord into a subtle thought. So the gross electrical input, if you want to call it, through the brain process is transferred as though as the subtle as the thought process in the mind. And how this occurs, we do not know. We do not know the code, how a thought arises in the mind. So thought of a chair is nothing but object out there. So every thought is locused as an object that I can perceive. So every perceive, the whole world that I perceive and every word that I perceived is nothing but objects, thoughts in my mind. And the thought that rises in the mind has to be illumined by the consciousness that I am subject. So consciousness, the subject, joins as though with the existence of the thought, which is nothing but the existence of the object outside. So outside object has become inside as the thoughts, and inside object is joining with the consciousness for me to establish the existence of, or for me to be conscious of the existence of the object outside. And all that is involved in drusyamanam. Drusya means in the seeing, all that is involved, and that therefore the whole universe is reduced in terms of objects, objects are reduced in terms of thoughts, thoughts are reduced in my consciousness. Therefore consciousness and the existence of the thought have to be together, and that's what I am Atma Brahma. So without me the world cannot be established. And so other fellow can say I can establish, but he has to be a conscious entity. So without the conscious entity, existence of the world cannot be established. So whether it exists or not, we do not know. It's an indeterminate problem. You cannot say it exists, you cannot say it doesn't exist, and only existence is established definitely. A deterministic system arises only when consciousness comes into picture and identifies that there is an object. This is what in the science there is a Schrodinger's cat problem. Schrodinger's cat problem is a thought experiment. A cat is kept in the radiation chamber, and after radiation the question was posed, is the cat alive or dead? So from the Schrodinger's equation, if you solve the problem, it tells you a probability, and the probability is 50% is alive or 50% it is dead. You cannot have like that, but that's what the analysis will tell you. So how do I know whether it's alive or not? If I open the chamber, so a conscious entity has to come into picture in order to reveal whether it is dead or alive. So the definition or the probability becomes a deterministic only when the consciousness comes into picture. Without the consciousness, the problem of the world, existence of the world is indeterminate. Therefore, I am Brahma, I am Atma Brahma becomes a fact because the existence and consciousness have to be together. Subject object has to join together in the process of perception for me as a conscious entity to know the existence of the whole universe. Without me, existence of the world cannot be established. And that is what essentially equation implies. The thought is nothing but the world, and thought has to be in my consciousness for me to be conscious of the thought, therefore conscious of the world. And that's how the equation becomes valid, and therefore I need a viveka to see this. So thoughts are not the problem. So meditation is not a thoughtless state, need not be thoughtless state, because thoughts is veil, thoughts is there. Thought has to join the consciousness, so it is there in every thought, in every knowledge. Consciousness is getting reflected and the knowledge is taking place. So every knowledge involves consciousness, and consciousness is there all the time, and therefore I can be, while looking at the world, recognize that I am not this, but I am the pure consciousness that supports the whole universe. I don't have to close my eyes in order to recognize it. I need a viveka. Viveka is discriminative intellect to differentiate what's real and what's not real. Thoughts come and thoughts go, but I am conscious of thoughts coming and going, but I don't come and I don't go. I am all the time is present for me to see coming and going of the thoughts. Hence, Upanishad says, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. This is revealed in every knowledge, and that I am is being pointed as I am Atma Brahman. With this, we complete the 5th chapter, and also we complete the first Panchakam. The five sets of first 5 chapters are called the Viveka Panchakam, and of the Panchadashi of 15 chapters, the first 5 are related with the Viveka discriminative intellect, and we have to use it while living in the world and during the world or sitting in the meditation. I have to recognize that I am pure consciousness that enlivens the whole world itself, and that is the essentially Viveka required. And with that, we will close this chapter. I have to repeat it because the part of it was missing in the sound, and I might not have repeated exactly, but the essence is being taught. So let's do the Purnamadatnam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari.